Recording.
All right, good evening. This is the May 2021 board meeting. Thank you for attending. We have a rather busy agenda, but anyway, I'd like to call the meeting to order.
How do I know?
And it appears to be 7:01 p.m. And the agenda, I'd like to make a motion to adopt this agenda to add under new business, in-person meetings / hybrid meetings / WebEx meetings, when to implement and how to use.
I second that motion.
Okay, all
Can't
those.
make a motion.
Okay, I am not going to make the motion. I'd like someone else to make the motion. You've already done it. Do you want to make the motion, Mary Beth?
Sure. I'll make a motion that we move to hybrid meetings and have that discussion under new business today.
I second that.
All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay. The motion carried. So we'll have that under new business then. Are there any other amended items that we should add to the agenda today? Okay. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move forward. So I guess my president's report is going to be awfully short because I wanted to draw to everyone's attention the fact that as of June 2nd, the mask mandate in Ohio will be lifted. And that's the reason, obviously, that we will be talking about the motion that we just passed under business. There is a lot to get to this evening, and I would like to allow enough time so that we can do so. So let's go ahead and get started into our agenda. And so next up would be review the April board minutes. And that's
Yes. I want to make a motion that we accept and adopt the April board minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second, Tim Weibel.
Okay, thank you, Tim. All those in, well, before we do that, is there any discussion on the April board minutes? Okay, no discussion. So let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes for adoption, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay. Motion carries. The minutes are adopted. Next is a review of the special board meeting minutes, and that's you also, Mary Beth.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt and approve the special board meeting minutes.
Is there a second on that?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, Cabot. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor of adopting the special board meeting minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Motion to adopt carries. Okay, and I guess it continues on with you, Mary Beth. Correspondence.
Yes, we had one party that asked that we read their letter at the meeting tonight. And so I'll go ahead and do that. To HAH Board of Trustees, I present the following concerns and request this letter be read into the record during the May 2021 Board of Trustees meeting. During the April board meeting, I listened to the letter that was sent to the board by the Lakes Committee and read aloud by the board secretary. I documented the concerns, did some research, and found that several of the points made by the Lakes Committee are not based on facts and instead based on assumptions, feelings, or outright mistruths. Our small lakes were originally designated and meant for fishing, swimming, kayaking, canoeing, and no gas motors. Pontoons and ski boats were to be used on a lake of four seasons. It has been understood for many years that that was the intent for the use of the lake spaces, and they've been used accordingly by members over the years. It is a fact that these lakes were intended for boat use without gas motors. The fact is supported by a rule which explicitly states gas motors can be used only on the Lake of Four Seasons. Pontoons have been used on the smaller lakes over the years. I can attest to this, having grown up on Lake Eagle Claw from the age of 6 in the summer of 1972. I have seen pontoons on that lake, and I've been on a pontoon boat on that lake. The statement claiming membership had an understanding of some vaporous intent that never appeared in the version of any rule book is patently false. If it's claimed that this is based on any kind of actual evidence, the evidence needs to be presented and made available for members to review. Our concern for the safety issues of having pontoons 16 feet and larger in the smaller lakes. One pontoon on a small lake might be easy to navigate around a smaller craft like a canoe, but what if there are a few pontoons out there? How safe is this for swimmers? Why should large boats take up so much of a small space? 3 of our small lakes are barely 3 acres and less. Pontoons allowed on HAH Lake of Four Seasons are 16 to 24 feet long. The questions asked in the paragraph are great questions to ask, but neither Lakes Committee nor Board have answered a single one of these questions. They've simply used those questions to imply a safety concern when the fact is no safety concern actually exists. Since the Lakes Committee questions about safety didn't actually include any analysis, facts, or safety data whatsoever, I looked into the safety issues concerning recreational boating. The U.S. Coast Guard is tasked with tracking and analyzing statistical data for the 50 U.S. states and 5 territories. Using their data, I found the following. In 2019, there were a total of 4,168 recreational boating accidents involving 5,651 vehicles across all 50 states and 5 territories combined. This statistic is for all waters, all weather conditions, all operating conditions, and includes both day and night use. Since the primary focus concerning changes to Rule number 20 is restrictive only to pontoon boats, it's important to mention that out of the 5,651 total watercraft, 372 were pontoon boats. 25% of those were rented at the time of the accident, which indicates a much greater likelihood that the operator of the boat was not familiar or well versed in the safe use of the boat, which increases the likelihood of an accident. Obviously, we do not have this risk on our lakes. Also, this includes pontoon boats being operated at speed, something we would never see on a smaller lake because those are restricted to human power, trolling motor power. 44 of those accidents, 12%, involve alcohol as a factor. Over the last 3 years of statistics, pontoon accidents have resulted in 5% to 7% of the total number of deaths of all watercraft types of all accident type combined. Taking a look at the accident data by lake length reveals some other interesting information. For all watercraft categories combined, watercraft less than 16 feet in length were involved in 208 drownings, 83%, and 44 deaths causing other drowning, for a total of 252 deaths. For all watercraft between 16 and 26 feet in length, there were 163 deaths from drowning, 67%, and 80 deaths for causes other than drowning, for a total of 243 deaths. The accident statistics show there were 1,508 watercraft of all types less than 16 feet involved in these accidents versus 2,528 watercraft of all types between 16 and 26 feet involved in accidents. This is due to the overwhelming popularity of boats in the 16 to 26 foot range, 67%. Yet despite the overwhelming popularity, there are less deaths involved in larger watercraft. For example, or for accidents of all type, 10-foot long watercraft accounted for 496 accidents. 11-foot watercraft accounted for 379 accidents. Conversely, the number of accidents for all sizes ranging from 16 through 25 feet for all watercraft type was less. In fact, 10-foot and 11-foot watercraft are the 2 lengths most likely to be involved in an accident out of all boats, including those in excess of 65 feet. For all watercraft type, the total of primary accidents in which a person was struck by a vessel totaled 39. Propeller strikes add another 19. Statistics for pontoons of all lengths striking a person show 7 people were struck by the vessel itself, 2 were struck by a propeller. In Ohio, specifically 0 were struck by a vessel or propeller. Furthermore, Ohio benefits from an exceedingly low death rate at less than 2.5 people per 100,000 recreational registered vehicles. This compares very favorable to states such as Alabama, Florida, Wyoming, Washington, Oregon, Utah, Nevada, and Vermont, which have death rates exceeding 10 per 100,000 recreational registered vehicles. Comparing this mortality statistic to other causes of death reveals you are more likely to die from nutritional deficiency, homicide, malaria, HIV, AIDS, kidney disease, tuberculosis, liver disease, and diarrhea than you die in a watercraft collision of any kind in the state of Ohio. Specifically to the issue of having unrestricted boat use on smaller lakes, you're more likely to be struck by lightning than to encounter death by pontoon boat on our small lakes. None of the small lakes are set up to launch the size boat without the possible damage to that size boat, trailer, or existing rock launches meant for small craft. This is patently false. There's no measure of live tests to find out what or what will not fit on the ramps. I've looked at Arrowhead and Eagle Claw launching ramps. As a reasonably experienced boater, I'm confident I could utilize both ramps and would be happy to use my truck and pontoon for testing purposes. Lakes received complaints in spring 2020 about an 18-foot pontoon boat on Eagle Claw. Sum of all total complaints about pontoon boats in any state of improper use, docked, abandoned, or in disrepair on smaller lakes has not amounted to more than a handful over the last 50 years. Many committees receive higher number of complaints and handle those without imposing restrictions on member community use. The infinitesimally small number of complaints about pontoon boats on the 4 smaller lakes in no way necessitates or justifies a rule change that stands to affect the totality of membership. It is the intent of the Lakes Committee to support the rule change and was voted on unanimously as a yes by attending members at the April Lakes Committee. I've urged all members of the Lakes Committee who are alleged to have signed the letter to the board, as well as all Lakes Committee members who weren't at that meeting, to look at all the facts. At the May Lakes Committee meeting, the chairwoman said maybe they acted too quickly or could have done research, but it's too late. It's in the board's hands now. And any questions or comments must be taken up with the board. This constitutes potential misconduct as a member of a committee. See Section 7, see Section 8, Code of Regulations, since the committee chair would not consider rescinding the recommendation. Additionally, any trustee who continues to insist there is a safety issue and or votes to support the change to Rule 20 based on fabricated information from the Lakes Committee and in light of the accident and mortality data readily available, is potentially committing an act of misconduct as well, and according to Section 6 of the Code of Regulations, will not be indemnified by the club and will be excluded from participating in a vote on said misconduct. And with that in mind, I urge all members of the board to look at the facts and consider the evidence. The Lakes Committee information is fabrication with little basis in fact. The Lake Committee chairwoman admitted they may have acted too hastily. The accident mortality data is readily available for download and review and demonstrates no safety concern. Letters posting other communication indicates a significant portion of membership opposes the change. In light of all the evidence presented, continuing to vote or otherwise support Rule number 20 is a potential act of misconduct that excludes trustees from indemnification and voting privileges on a hearing of misconduct. All trustees are required to serve the best interest of membership regardless of their personal feelings. Thank you, Candy Harrod and Greg Blank, Lot 1072.
Do we have anything further, Mary Beth?
That's the only letter requested to be read.
Okay. Thank you. Cabot, are you ready for the treasurer's report?
Well, sure. I'll try to make this a little fast and brief. It's not a whole lot to talk about, except that we began the month with 142,526, the beginning of April, and we finished at 139,285.07. Everything matched up. I think we're good to go. All the numbers lined up from the different committees. So I do make a motion to accept this Treasurer Committee report for April 2021.
Is there a second on the motion?
I'll second. Tim Weibel.
Thanks, Tim. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor of accepting the treasurer's report, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Thank you. Next up is the Management Committee report. Jim Sigafus.
Thank you, Linda. The High Management Committee report for the month of May 2021. Lake Deerfoot Management. We are taking more active steps this year to control the invasive duckweed and algae in this lake. We have purchased a fountain to keep the water moving and will be commencing spraying portions of the lake. Highway Hills road plan, a plan of action for 2021. Road assessment spend is in place. The front paving will be done in early to mid-June, depending on the weather. The office will give adequate notice to the membership, as there will be some period during the day that members will need to use the gate near the boat storage area. The committee is continuing to improve our security in the hills. We are actively looking at RFID gate systems. We have one bid from our current gate controller provider. We are working on obtaining additional bids. In addition, the committee will be exploring the possibility of additional security cameras at the boat launch and dock areas. Lodge electrical safety. Management committee member Marty Mendokis is working with a local electrical contractor to make necessary safety improvements to the lodge's electrical infrastructure. The initial stages of the replacement of outdated equipment have begun. Additional electrical changes will need to be made when the South Central plan to bury the lodge's electrical feed comes into the building. The management committee is partnering with the golf committee to get foot gravel down in the new golf course maintenance building, as well as having it painted so it matches the front entrance. Borer Hill mailbox area. The management committee has contracted to have that area around the mailboxes leveled off to make it safer for members in the winter. In addition, we are looking into the possibility of covering these mailboxes in the future. And finally, the management committee will start having in-person meetings beginning with the first June meeting, as the mask mandates and distancing have been removed effective June 2nd. Any questions?
No questions for Jim? Okay, thanks, Jim. We'll go ahead and move on then to you with the general manager's report. Hi, Jeff.
Hello there. All right, we're going to start with delinquency totals. Delinquencies as of for primary assessment as of April 15th were 25,436. Bulk of those that were not in legal were collected, and delinquencies as of yesterday were 25,612. 3,719 of that is just in the 30-day period. And 17,023 is currently with the legal office. 5 total accounts with the legal office, one of which is on an active payment plan that they've been keeping up with. Road delinquencies as of April 15th were 2,930, and as of May 17th grew $60 to $2,990. 3 accounts there are with legal for a total of, actually, every bit of that is with the legal, with the legal group, all 2990 of it. Dam assessment total, this is both the payment account as well as the account we have to keep at $100,000, is at 103,412. We are currently looking at having to pay out about 48,000 out of operating. It shrunk some, but we're, so many people have paid off their accounts at this point that the income is very little. Lodge and Clubhouse updates. Lodge, just a reminder, we will have a special menu on grab and go, special menu on concert nights, which will include a limited menu with grab and go options, versus trying to overcrowd the dining room at 5 to whenever the concerts start. Clubhouse, we are successfully utilizing some lodge staff now to accommodate the new hours. So we're not having to run into a bunch of overtime like we originally thought we were going to. So pretty well everybody that is at the lodge on the service side of things has been cross-trained at the Clubhouse, and 1 person to go over and help cooking. Reminder is the staff has had to enforce, in my mind, far too many people smoking and vaping out on that back deck. It is currently, as agreed to last month, currently non-smoking from May 1st to October 31st. So my request is please don't have the staff have to ask you. There is a sign up that says no smoking. We will change that to no smoking and no vaping. And you know, it's never a good idea to try and take that out on the staff. And then as of tomorrow, we will be lifting the clubhouse and lodge mask mandates, if you will, as per the most recent guidance by the CDC, as well as the Ohio governor pretty much following that same mandate or following that same guidance. That is lifting the burden of wearing a mask from those that are fully vaccinated. Is staff going to be asking the question? Nope, we're not going to put them in that position. Just expect that everyone will follow what the current mandate is by the state of Ohio, and then June 2nd we can relinquish the social distancing and the mask wearing. Lake Patrol. We are still experiencing some staffing issues and security. As much success as we've had at the lodge and clubhouse staffing, security's been a little bit more of an issue. Lake Patrol will begin Memorial Day weekend, Friday evenings, and then 11 a.m. to 6 or 6:30 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays, just depending on the activity. Lake Deerfoot, we've talked about ways to reduce the amount of growth inside of Lake Deerfoot. Management committee asked that a fountain be ordered, fountain and aerator. That has arrived and should be installed within the next week or two once Steve Cundiff and Rick get together on that. And then just a reminder, South Central Power is going to start their clearing project of all their right-of-ways in June. And as well, we got a letter today just before I left the office. Bear with me one second. I'm just going to read it to you. This is regarding the underground lines project. Earlier today, our board of directors reviewed and unanimously approved the HAH 3-phase overhead to underground phase 1 project as presented over the last couple of years. We will be reaching out over the next couple of weeks to schedule project kickoff on site with a SCP representative, awarded contractors, and Hideaway Hills Utility Committee members. We look forward to getting started with excavation in early June of this year and proceeding forward with construction. There will be more communication as our contractors begin to stage and start construction. That is from Zachary Reed with South Central Power. So I was one that doubted that they would actually be able to get started that quickly based upon the fact they were still getting bids a couple of weeks ago, but apparently it's coming to fruition faster than at least I expected. And that is all I've got.
Did we refresh my memory regarding the PPP loan? Did we update on that at the last board meeting?
We did, and we're still in holding pattern there. We have not heard back even as to whether we are truly qualified. So they haven't said no, which is good, but we haven't gotten a yes either.
Do we have any idea when we'll hear back?
Supposed to be by the end of the month, end of this month.
Okay. Well, that would be good. That would be helpful to get that money. Do you have anything else, Jeff?
No, ma'am, that is it.
Any questions for Jeff?
Yeah, with the burying of the electric lines, is this something, do we have any idea when they hope to finish this project? I know they're starting in June. Is this a 3-year deal, of 2-year deal to get this done? It's a pretty big job, I would think. It
is a very big job. Once we meet with them, we'll have a better idea of that. What I remember, I mean, we met in December. It was all a blur at that point. It was a year to a year and a half. Okay. But they've taken a year plus longer than they thought to get started. So we will see.
Okay.
Jeff, can you give us an update on Keno at the clubhouse and also the lodge?
Lodge, we don't have Keno. With the atmosphere there, I'd prefer not to put a machine up there. At the clubhouse, Wendy with the Ohio Lottery is supposed to be out here either later this week or next week. Machine's been updated, but anybody and everybody involved in it needs either initial training, me, or retraining, which would be the clubhouse staff to make sure that we're getting the whole thing right.
Okay.
So it'll be the end of next week at the latest. I'm waiting on Wendy to get back to me to schedule an actual date she'll be at here so we can get everybody trained.
When the board initially approved to bring Keno in, we actually approved to do it both at the clubhouse and the lodge. And then unfortunately, about the time we got the Keno in was when we shut down the lodge, and the decision was to not put it in there for obvious reasons.
Mhm.
So I guess the question then becomes is, do we want to put Keno back in the lodge as was the original plan?
If that is a board level decision, then I will certainly acquiesce to what the board thinks. In my mind, in that environment versus the clubhouse, which is going to be a little bit more lively, not necessarily people sitting down enjoying a nice braised beef short rib, that kind of thing. I don't really think I would not put the Keno machine up there. But as I said, if it's a board level decision, then I'll certainly acquiesce to the wishes of the board. It's not.
I agree with Jeff.
I guess, I don't know, do we need to have a vote on it? It's just that that's what we decided to do at the time.
Could we add it,
That's why I threw it out
Eric,
there.
could we add it to the agenda for the next meeting? I think what we were talking about when we voted for that, the lodge was struggling, I think we said getting butts in the seat, and we thought that might be a draw. Maybe if we put it on the agenda next month, we can see how the lodge is doing. And if we want to add it or not at that point, would that be okay?
That's fine with me. I just remember that was a decision of the board, and I just wanted to bring that up for discussion. We can certainly add it the next time.
I've made a note to put it on the next agenda.
Hey, Jeff, just a quick question. Seems to me we were also going to put scratch offs in with that Keno. Is that still online, or am I mistaken?
I'd not heard anything about that, so board members would have probably better recollection of that than I.
Jim, I can address that. That was something that was in the process of being prepared to be brought to the board. And then COVID hit and we shut down the clubhouse, and it kind of, nothing else has happened with it. So I guess maybe we can add that to next agenda as well. Having that discussion, I'd have to do some more research to find out what was being done, because quite honestly, I've kind of forgot what needed to be done to get that done. But it was not something we had planned for the clubhouse at this time.
In the meantime, as long as Wendy's coming out, I'll check with her and see what we'd need from their perspective to get that going.
Well, Jeff, that'd be a different organization and a different license to do the pull tabs versus the lottery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
In that case, I won't.
That's a whole nother creature.
It is.
All right, so we have both items for next month's agenda. And Eric, you will do some research on those topics, right?
I can do research on the pull tabs if you'd like to what we need to do.
And if you could also speak to the Keno.
Well, with the Kenos, we already have our ability to do that. It's just a matter of telling the lottery we want to bring it up to the lodge, and the board has to decide to do that. So there's nothing more for me to do in regards to that.
I understand, but bring it forward. This will be your agenda item to address.
Okay.
And I'll check with Wendy at least on the Keno and the clubhouse and see what else we need to do. Just since other than going and getting fingerprinted and getting a background check and getting my name on the lottery license, I don't know all that much about it.
Okay. Anything else for Jeff? All right. Let's move on to committee business. And let's start with you, Mr. Weibel.
Thank you, Linda. Nothing to report on the ORV committee. And with golf, obviously we're getting into the beginning of golf season and very active. And we do have a sign posted right at the #1 tee that anybody that plays golf needs to go into the clubhouse and sign up. They need to put their name down with their lot number, the time that they are signing in. And if they have any guests, they need to include their guests, and there are guest fees that are involved. This just is not happening. I was over there this afternoon and witnessed several golfers just pulling right up to number 1 tee, getting on the tee box and going ahead and hitting. So I really want to encourage our membership to follow the rules. Please go to the clubhouse and sign in. It takes all of about 1 minute. Other than that, I don't have anything else for the golf committee.
All right. Tim, thanks for bringing that up. There may be more to come on that, I'm guessing. How about Tom Matthews?
Yeah, the social committee has published the concert schedule, went on Facebook. I think pretty much all set. I think they're looking for one more band. Health and Wellness Committee is having a 5K on Saturday, June 12th, and nothing from tennis.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Mary Beth.
I don't have anything except Ginger will be speaking later on the agenda. So she'll cover what she wants to cover. I don't have anything additional.
Okay, that's for communications, right?
Correct.
Okay, good. All right, Mr. Cabot Ray.
Yeah, not a whole lot. Chapel Committee wants to thank everyone for the great support of the Mother's Day hanging basket sale. We did pretty well, very well actually. And in fact, just this past week, we used some of that money to get the chapel Vandy came in and power washed and repainted it. It looked pretty good. Want to mention that our first service again will be a Memorial weekend service on the 30th. It'll be in the evening at 5. That's a special service for Memorial Day, obviously. And then we will begin our 10:30 services after that. We'll also, the chapel's going to be hosting some Shabbat services on Saturday. More information will be coming regarding that. It's a different kind of service.
I'm curious, is that open to all
Yes,
members? Okay.
absolutely. Absolutely. Angela Ryan is heading that up. And she's going to try to put together a schedule and so forth. But that's going to be on Saturday afternoons when it doesn't conflict with any other, if there's a wedding or any other event there, and they'll look out on the calendar, make sure that it's open for that service. I think that's just about it. Nothing from the organic garden this particular month. Of course, the big festival is still coming up in July, and we'll give you more information as we get closer on that. That'll about do her from me.
All right. Thank you, Cabot. Annie Kerrigan.
Yeah, just a couple things. Lakes wants to do some additional purchases, so I'd like to make a motion for $500 to purchase 20 more fish. That would be tilapia and amirs. They're going to put 15 more in Deerfoot, and 5 will go into Lake Arrowhead.
Oh, are you talking about the amirs?
Tilapia and amirs.
Okay. All right.
Both kinds.
All right. So you've made a motion. Do we have a second on Annie's motion?
I'll second it, Tom.
All right, Tom. And your motion was for, what was it, $500, Annie?
Yes, $500.
For purchase of fish?
20 fish, mix of tilapia and amirs. They're going to put 15 in Lake Deerfoot, and 5 will go in Arrowhead.
All right, thank you. Any discussion on the motion? All right, let's vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay. Motion carries.
The Long Range Planning Committee has been working with both the Key Initiatives Committee, which I'll talk a little bit about later, and the Utility Service Committee on the South Central Power Project that Jeff read the letter about. They've also been actively looking to do some additional work this year. One around doing some workshops around invasive plants, as well as maybe even putting some documentation into the ECHO. Additional projects they are going to work on are documenting our rule development process. And they'd like to do an emergency action plan. And also, lastly, look to develop some sort of a donation or legacy plan so that members can donate funds to the club. And that's all I got.
All right. Thanks, Annie. Jim Lloyd. Jim, I don't know that your mic's on.
Yeah, there we go.
There.
I guess I got to hold the button down. I'll learn eventually. The airports committee wants to have their annual fly-in on Saturday, September 11th from 9 till 3 p.m. That is the 20th anniversary of the 9/11. And I hate to use the term anniversary in that, but for lack of a better word. And so we're going to have some sort of, somewhat of a special, we'll call it Remembering 9/11. And we will be doing a short memorial service. And when I say short, I mean very short, at noon. We'll also do the regular 60-40 drawing, with 60% being paid out and 40% staying with the airport committee. The kids will eat free while supplies last. Food and beverages will be available for a donation. And if people that went there last year, there was just nothing but praise for Josh's burgers and what have you. The pilots and the guests will receive complimentary brunch at the clubhouse, and we will be utilizing our ORV side by side for parking and food setup. So that will mean that the airplanes will line up on the, let's call it the hangar side. There's a very long row there where we can park airplanes, and we're hoping for a minimum of 20 airplanes. We're making some other plans to advertise that to the pilots. That will mean that people will be crossing the airport to come from the planes back over to the call it the midway area. So we will set up a special area where they can cross. They will be guarded on both sides. And this will be strictly enforced because we don't want people running out across the airport. We'll know when the planes are coming in, and if there's a plane coming in, you're just going to have to wait. It won't take long to cross. And we also would like to hire, and we'll pay for it, one security guard, one of our security guards, just to kind of keep control on that. We realize that crossing the airport is, well, it's just basically a no-no. And so even we're making every plan possible to make sure that that is adhered to strictly. That's about it on that. So I'll make a motion that we have our annual event on September 11th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Okay,
I'll
do we have
second that.
Cabot?
I'll second that. Sounds great.
All right. So we have a second on the motion. Do we have any discussion on that?
That, I just want to make sure that's not the same day as veteran shooting, right, Jim?
No, this is September 11th. I'll bring up veteran shooting in just a minute.
Okay, all right, I was just clarifying. Thanks.
Any other discussion on the motion? All right, let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Motion carries for that fly-in on September 11th.
Also, the airport committee wanted to know, is there going to be a meet and greet for the candidates?
I
was going to talk about
Go ahead.
that a little bit later under additional business.
Okay, that's fine. If there is one set up, that's fine. Otherwise, they would like to sponsor a meet and greet of the candidates. But if you've got something already set up, that's fine too.
Anything else, Jim?
As far as the range committee, the trap shoot will be June 13th from noon to 4 p.m. and the veteran shoot will be November 7th from noon to 4 p.m. And I I'll make a motion that we accept those 2 dates for the trap shoot and the veteran shoot.
The date for the trap shoot again, please.
June 13th, noon to 4 p.m.
And veteran shoot.
is November 7th, noon to 4 p.m.
Okay. So you've made the motion. Do we have a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay, Eric Lapp, second. Do we have any discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor of the trap shoot for June 13th, 12 to 4, and the veteran shoot on November 7th from 12 to 4, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
That's all I've got.
All right, thanks, Jim. Eric,
Okay, the only thing I got is from Eric Boysko and the Utilities Committee, and it's actually already dated based on what Jeff just gave us, that they're going to be starting in June. So I'll try to just take out that portion of what and he just wanted to point out, I guess, that if this is successful, this bearing of those lines, that they will look at doing a phase 2 on the other side of the lake. What else can I add here? And yeah, okay, and we already know the other details from the report that Jeff just gave. And then the last thing that he had from him is the reminder: the resource directory representing approximately 250 skills is available to anyone working on a Hideaway Hills project. For a listing of the skills, see the link under the Hideaway Hills page for Utility Services Committee. If you wish names for the skills, please contact Jeff Harper. And that was from Eric Boysko. Thank you.
all right, thank you, Eric. All right, let's move on to our next agenda item, and that is open forum. And if I remember right, we have 3 speakers. We have, let's see, Stephanie Wolf, Greg Blank, and Kathy Clevenger. So let's start with Stephanie.
I don't know. Can you guys see me?
Yes.
Okay. I can't see myself. Okay. Thank you, board, for all you do. I'm going to jump right in because we've got a lot to cover tonight. I just finally received my answer to questions that I've been asking for a long time now, just hours before the meeting. So I'm going to jump right in. So one of the things in my questions was, this goes to rule change 20. I asked how the board and Lakes Committee determined determined that 13 feet was an appropriate size and safe. Like, what research, data, risk analysis, historical predicators were used to determine that 13 feet is safer than 18 or 20 feet? Here's the answer that I'll read to you from the letter I received today. Lakes looked at what boat sizes most made sense for the sizes of the small lakes in the existing boat docks. A couple of manufacturers were looked at, and we decided on Paddle King as a source. A 13-foot long pontoon boat holds a family of 4 and seems suitable for the size of our small lakes. Board, I would like to ask all of you, when we are determining, and at what point are we determining safety for over 700 members based on catalogs? And why empirical data such as that the U.S. Coast Guard provides isn't being looked at to determine safety for us? Can someone please address this? Okay, I'm going to move on. Okay, so that obviously can't be addressed. I think that should be considered when you go to make your vote. And I would love to ask the board to rescind this vote. It does not serve the best of the community. And until some of these things can be addressed in answer to the membership of how this is going to benefit the membership as a whole, it should not be voted on tonight. So the second thing is, the last time that the Big Lakes was looked at was the last time the safety was studied as far as overcrowding goes was in 1999 when 660 boats were registered. board in the Lakes Committee who are watching this, why isn't lofts included in the safety measurements of this rule change? Why are we ignoring the safety issues that are occurring on the big lakes to change a rule for one boat on one small lake?
I have to ask about the safety concerns that you bring up, Stephanie, with the large lake, with the Lake of Four Seasons. Do you have anything specific on that?
Okay, so at the April, I can direct it directly to you, Linda. At the April meeting, I don't have the quote in front of me. What you said was the safety issue on the small lakes is that the pontoon boats are up high, the swimmers are down low, and so you can't see them, and that's a safety issue. So considering all the concerts we have, all the busy holidays, all the good weathered weekends, and there's a lot of people on the boat, why is that safety metric of not being able to navigate boats easily around swimmers not being applied to the big lakes?
So
that
Stephanie,
you-
I'm really
especially-
sorry, but
Especially when they're
I'm just
faster
mentioning the
motors.
time limit. I'm sorry, Stephanie, I'm just mentioning the time limit.
Okay, I think I would also, just before I go, like to address that the time limit, I have gone to meetings in person to get these questions answered. 3 minutes at these meetings when people have a lot to say and you guys are making these rule changes, it's not working for the membership. And I would just ask, when there's big things like safety being considered, that the board permit more time for discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Next is Greg Blank.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for this time. I'm going to piggyback onto the letter that Stephanie referred to with a couple of my comments in reading responses, and my understanding is that these responses came from Annie and Sue, and please correct me if I'm wrong. The first one says that yes, we feel that adding large pontoon boats adversely affects this experience. There aren't any boat launch ramps on the small lakes capable of handling and launching and removing large pontoons. The only part of that entire paragraph that has any truth is the part that says, yes, we feel. Beyond that, nothing has been measured, nothing has been tested. I volunteered in my letter to the board, my truck and a pontoon trailer. I will go test the ramps. I have boating experience all across the country, and I'm happy to do it. I urge the board members to consider doing some testing before voting on Rule 20. Next issue, how many people were originators of the complaint which instigated the rule change? It says Lakes Committee received 3 complaints. We don't have the information from the office. Folks, seriously, 3 complaints about one boat have resulted in this whole thing that's turned into, oh, we have a safety issue, we have this, we have that. I've thoroughly debunked the safety issue with the U.S. Coast Guard data. There is no safety issue, and you're going to have to dig up data to prove that wrong. What you're doing with this rule is a disservice to membership. It is not considering the best interests of membership, which you're required to do per the Code of Ethics that you each signed when you took this role. And even to say something in one of these letters that starts with "we feel," I'm sorry, it's not about how you feel. It's about how the membership feels. The Code of Ethics says it very clearly. The best interests of membership, regardless of personal feelings. That's what you have to uphold. And the fact of the matter is, you've done no measurement. You've done no review of safety data. You didn't even gather any safety data. I had to gather it. You haven't looked at anything. You haven't measured anything. You haven't tested anything. And you've looked at boats that, quote, make sense. Well, make sense based on what? Why does a 13-foot paddle boat make sense? Based on what and according to whom? These are not measurable outcomes whatsoever. Not whatsoever. I've seen references already in other literature to applying the SMART acronym to the things that we do. This isn't smart by any definition of the word. I urge
Greg,
the
if I
board
may
to
address
reconsider.
may I
Thank you.
address Greg? Yes,
Who's
Greg.
that, please?
Greg, it's Cabot Ray. You've done
Yes.
wonderful research into the safety factors, and we saw all those stats that you had there, which I appreciate your effort there. You took a lot of time to do that. You also made a comment that there's been a substantial number of people who are against this, and you said, now again, because we've been asked to quantify, can you quantify with all your numbers the people, the numbers of people who are totally against any amendment, any change, anything there? Can you give us a number?
Are we
Cabot, I'm
talking
sorry
about?
to interfere, Cabot, but your time's up, Cabot.
Well,
I know it's great.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Cabot, because if you were to ask me to tell you how many members are against any change, any rule, anything like that, I'd have to say the answer is 0. I haven't met a single member that isn't willing to consider the size of those lakes, the use of those lakes, and what we might do with those lakes and how we might accommodate all membership. So the answer is 0. But I have met a ton of members that are against Rule 20 as it is being presented right now. And that's the point. And there is a tool available to the board, and I've offered in my letters to help the board, the management committee, the Lakes Committee, anybody with this. It's called a Lakes Capacity Study. I know where to find the forms. I know where it's used, from Lake George to Puget Sound, used all over the place. It's a sensible way to solve these issues. And doing things on the we feels, and this makes sense, and oh gee, that size boat would look cute on Lake Eagle Claw. Well, that's just not serving anybody's purpose.
Well, you've
So
met a
Greg,
ton, so that's your number. I'm just curious though. You did do some study on that, and how many pontoon boats can Eagle Claw handle before you would even say too many, too much?
Okay.
We're beyond that, guys. I mean, I'm sorry, but we are beyond the time.
Well, and I appreciate that, Mary, but here's what I would ask, okay? Clearly, we have board members that now have questions about this too, and I would love to sit down and answer these questions. And it's unfortunate that Facebook winds up being the only place that so many people can go, myself included. This is part of the reason why. So I urge the board to abstain from this vote tonight, and let's talk about this, okay? And let me teach you or show you or demonstrate what I learned working nationally with marinas and the marine industry all across the country.
all right.
Greg,
thank
you are making
Thanks for your
some
time.
assumptions. Greg, you're making some assumptions that none of us have done any communication with other members, and none of us have done research, and that would be an inaccurate assumption. But I
I'm not
understand where
making
you're coming from.
assumptions, but I'm not
Sure
making
sounds-
I would like to
assumptions.
add to that, because I'm quite frankly offended that you insinuated that I haven't talked to anybody when I actually have talked to a lot of people about this.
Right.
And so I don't think it's fair for you to make that conjecture. I will also
Well, I don't
add
think it's
that,
fair for
can I
you not to
finish my
present that
statement?
information to the
I was
membership.
Wait a
talking.
minute. Don't interrupt. Let's be respectful of one another. That goes for everyone.
The Lakes Committee almost couldn't get that boat out of that lake through that ramp, because that ramp is not made for large pontoons. It's really not. It's not deep. It doesn't have the ability for you to turn around down there with a long trailer and a car. I mean, it was very difficult for them to do that. And they're experienced people pulling this out. We have a lot of members that are new boat owners. And I think that for us to assume that that turnaround in that space and that ramp is a sufficient way to put boats into Eagle Claw, I disagree.
Well, and time is up, so I don't think we should continue this discussion right now, because there's other people that want to talk. We have to.
Okay,
I'm available anytime.
thank you. Kathy Clevenger.
So thanks for giving me time. I wanted to bring up a question around voting and being current. So as a member, if I'm not current at the time of the August member meeting, I'm not able to vote. I don't think that's in question, and that's a fact. So in the spirit and intent of that rule, why are board members able to vote on HH business if they are not current?
Well, let me take that, and anyone else can feel free to jump in. I will say this, our code needs retooling. So if you look at our code, you're right about members and voting. It says that a member has to be paid through the month of July in order to vote in the August meeting, which essentially means they're still late because we pay in advance as we go. We have kind of I think, an awkward billing system at best. So, but it doesn't make them 60. They can't vote if they're 60 days late. And I don't know, they can't vote if they're, I don't know, you count the days. I always get screwed up on this. But in fact, with our board, the board can be late up to 59 days.
I think that's before they get kicked off.
Before they can get kicked off, before they get kicked off.
But I think that the voting might be a little different. We just don't usually know that they're late. There wasn't a system in place until recently to tell us people were even 30 days late. That's a more recent thing since we had some people that were 60 plus days late.
Yeah, now that's in the rules versus the code. So I think, long story short, the code needs some retooling with this so that the board doesn't have any more rights than the members have in terms of voting. It's just that when you go to make a code change, it's if you change one thing here, you've got to look at everything else and make sure that you haven't somehow screwed that other language up. And I think it would require some serious review by some members and probably outside counsel.
I appreciate that. And thank you. And I know that this might be something that takes more to look into, but it's usually board members are held to a higher standard than members. And I think this is one place where that falls short. And we're seeing that over the years become an issue. And it's probably been an issue a lot longer, but never has been brought to members' attention. So I'd appreciate the board member thinking about that and figuring out a way to make that more equitable across members and then board members. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. I think that wraps up our open forum. And let's see, let's move on to unfinished business. And the first topic is Rule 20, the Small Lake Boat Rule. Annie Kerrigan.
Yeah, so I didn't get a chance to make this comment to Stephanie, but I thought one thing that you pointed out, Stephanie, in your letter that was really a good point was that where we were looking to make this change really probably didn't make the most sense, which is why I mentioned in my response with Sue that we kind of took that action based upon the recommendation of the Constitution Committee. So with that, we'd like to revisit that, moving it to what we feel is the right place, which you pointed out, which is the Rule 13.1 under the voting rules. So I'd like to make a motion to rescind Rule 20, the Rule 20 change, and take the addressing of the pontoon on the small lakes to the Constitution Committee to look into putting it under Rule 13.1, which is under the voting rules, and it'll fit better there.
Is there a second on the motion?
I'll second
I'll
that.
second it.
I think Tim Weibel got it first. Discussion on that.
Refresh my memory.
Essentially, we're kicking this down we're kicking the can down the road for another 60 days then?
Per our process for rules, we have to, yeah.
Okay.
Refresh my memory. What is Rule
Constitution.
13-1?
It's under the voting rules. in the rules section. See if I can pull it up.
Any house vote.
On page, sorry, my computer's being slow.
26, it's on 26.
Yeah, on 26, thank you. And in this section, they talk about things like you can't have houseboats, you can't have watercraft that are over a certain dimension. You can't have a cabin on it, and so on and so forth. So it was a good point, I thought.
Can I add that along with having the Constitution Committee take a look at this, that we schedule as a board, we schedule a meeting for the community to be able to come out and share their thoughts instead of it just being on Facebook. I know we've had these kind of conversations in the past where going back when the lake was closed and we were talking about flotation devices. And at the time, I think it was Greg Potassin was president, and he held a meeting for the community to come out and share their thoughts so that we as board members can get a better understanding of what the community really wants. Because right now, I think it's limited to how you want to go and see the information. So, I mean, is anybody opposed to having such a meeting?
I'm not.
We've had those meetings, Eric. I'm not opposed to it, but back when we were trying to figure out why the last assessment before this one passed, we scheduled several meetings. 4 people was the maximum that showed, even though we had multiple meetings scheduled. So I think if, there's an understanding, everybody treats everybody respectfully, and there aren't threats being made, I think that probably is a wise idea. But
if nobody,
Jim Krieger.
Right. I mean, if nobody shows up at the meeting, then we know that nobody cares.
Yes. So, I mean, a lot of people cared about the assessment, obviously, and nobody showed up. But I'm just saying, Krieger was there, Annie was there, I was there, and the maximum we had was maybe 3 extra participants, 3 or 4. But yes, I'm not opposed to it.
I can tell you that when Greg Potassin had that meeting on the flotation devices, and this is 4 years ago or whatever, the dining room was full. I mean, I'd say probably 30, 40 people there. So I guess maybe it depends on the issue a little bit too. I just think a good idea for us to be able to get information from our community directly versus through Facebook or 1 or 2 people writing a few letters.
Well, and we've also had difficulty getting all together for, obvious reasons with COVID and things like that. So there has been some problems that have caused probably more frustration for everybody. So.
Also, on the assessment increase, there were website meetings or Zoom meetings that put that out and gave that information out. Linda was on one, and Jim Sigafus, I think, was on one. And that might have been part of the reason why you didn't have the crowd, because you had already answered the questions. I think it was about a 15-minute presentation by both of you.
Those all happened after we had the meetings, and partly because we weren't having anyone show up to the meetings.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not opposed to having a meeting. If you're all okay with that, I'm fine with that. It's a little different time. The COVID restrictions are being lifted. And I second what you said, Mary Beth. We need to be respectful of one another, not try to talk over one another, give each other space to say what each person needs to say in a respectful way. And I might suggest also that we try to stay on track and not repeat one another if we could. Anyway, so sure, we can do that. So I think where we left off was a motion and a second on that motion. Mary Beth, as secretary, am I?
Yes, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah, Annie made the first motion, Tim seconded. She asked that we basically rescind Rule 20, send this to the Constitution Committee for a review of 13.1 and go from there.
All right, very good. Any further discussion on the topic? Okay, let's take a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Thank you. Well, Annie, you remain on the front and center chair here. Reading of the electronic voting language for the code ballot coming up.
So I read these changes in our January board meeting. We had some follow-up information that I was asked to provide. When we actually voted on it, it wasn't read into the record or put into the minutes. So I'm going to read this again just to get it into the minutes. And Mary Beth, if you need an electronic copy of that, I can provide that as well. The change around electronic voting to the Code of Regulations that the membership will vote on in August is as follows. Change under Article 4, Section 4 will now read quorum. The voting members present either in person or by absentee or electronic ballot and in good standing shall constitute a quorum for the transaction of business at any annual or special meeting of the club members. Additional changes under Section 7 around absentee voting, the second paragraph, will now read, absentee ballots will be mailed to eligible members by ordinary mail at least 15 days prior to the meeting. Members who have been sent absentee ballots will be deemed to have voted by this method and will not be allowed to vote electronically nor to personally vote at the meeting. The following paragraph will now read, absentee ballots must be received by the Hideaway Hills Club office prior to the end of 2 business days before the membership meeting. A new Section 8 will now read, electronic voting. Members may vote by electronic ballot. In order to vote electronically, members must be able to access the internet with a computer or mobile device. Special instructions and any additional access codes will be provided to eligible members for each membership meeting. Electronic voting will not be available to members who have requested an absentee ballot. Members who have voted electronically will not be eligible to personally vote at that membership meeting. Electronic voting will be available starting 7 days and ending 2 days prior to the membership meeting. An additional new section, Section 9, called Implementation. The Board of Trustees is authorized to adopt reasonable rules and regulations consistent with the provisions of Section 7 and 8, which rules and regulations shall not be contrary to or inconsistent with this code in order to facilitate the implementation of these provisions. Previous Section 8 is now Section 10. It's on voting power, and that will now read as, except as otherwise specified, provided in this Code of Regulations, an issue or motion is considered adopted at an annual meeting or special meeting by a vote of more than 50% of those voting members in good standing who are voting voting in person, by electronic ballot, or by absentee ballot. The table of contents will be updated to reflect Section 8 is now electronic voting and that there's now a new Section 9 implementation and Section 10 is voting power. In addition, under Article 5 for the Board of Trustees, Section 4 will be updated in the second paragraph to say that membership meeting, either in person or by absentee or electronic ballot, and who were in good standing at such time. Sorry, I read a partial sentence there. The way this document was cut off. Let me start over. Section 4 around removal. Any membership of the Board of Trustees can be removed as a trustee by a majority vote cast by the membership present in person or by absentee or by electronic ballot at an annual or special meeting if the issue is on the agenda as a result of a petition signed by members casting at least 10% of the number of votes cast in the last preceding annual membership meeting, either in person or by absentee or electronic ballot, and who were in good standing at such time. In addition, in Section 5, under the fourth paragraph, it'll now read, the board shall not approve any loan or other indebtedness, in excess of $25,000, which would result in a lien upon personal property of the club, or or on any real property owned by the club or by any entity beneficially owned or controlled by the club. Any such indebtedness has to be approved by the majority of the members present in person or by absentee or electronic ballot and in good standing and voting at a meeting of the membership. And lastly, under Article 10, repeals and amendments will now read, this code of regulations may be amended or repealed by 2/3 of the votes cast in person or by absentee or electronic ballot by members in good standing at any duly convened regular meeting of the membership or at a duly convened special meeting of the membership called for that purpose, provided that any proposed amendment shall have been presented to the Board of Trustees at a regular or special meeting of the board at least 90 days before such regular or special membership meeting. Amendments not approved by the Board of Trustees may be presented at such membership meeting to be placed on the ballot for approval or rejection at the next regular membership meeting or special meeting called for that purpose. And those are all the changes.
Annie, thank you for reading that into the record. We don't have it's not necessary to have a vote. We've already done that. But I know that was a lot to read. So look for that in the ballot. And again, this is simply to provide another option for folks to vote. And we've already talked about all the particulars in regard to that.
I'm sorry, Linda, we voted to approve that already?
Yes.
I didn't know I don't remember we voted. Just please help me.
We didn't vote we have voted to approve the language to be given to our membership in the August vote, Eric, so that the membership can vote if they want to approve this in the future, electronic voting.
Yeah, we're
to
not
approve language.
Yeah, the board is not allowed to vote to change the code.
I understand that. I just don't remember because I had a concern when we finally got our questions back concerning the system that we were going to use for voting. And it was, Jeff, maybe you can help me just confirm this. I had asked if the office is able to go on at any time, see a tally of what the votes were mid-vote. And the response, I believe, was yes. And I think that's problematic. At no point should anybody be able to see what the vote is at some point. The fact of the matter is that our office staff are under the purview of our management chairman as well as the president of our board. And
the general manager also.
Okay.
But they can't see how people voted. They just see a tally. And what I'll say is we didn't vote on it in February or March. I believe we voted on it in April. And we can go back to the meeting minutes to pull that up and show.
I just don't have a memory of voting to do that because I certainly would have brought up this objection.
You did. You did.
I did?
Yes, you did.
Okay. Well, then I guess I'll have to go back to the notes and take a look at it then.
Anything further on that issue before we move on to the club docs clarification? Okay. And this is a rule that was brought up last week. We've gotten, well, I'm not going to, Annie, it's your thing.
It was really just to address the fact that we didn't list bass boats and sailboats as available boats to be able to get a slip on the big lake. So we haven't received any feedback on it as of right now.
Okay. And we vote next month on that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. If there's nothing else on that, let's go on to reaffirm the E-Votes. Could you please, Annie?
Yep. So I'll read all the 7-0 votes first. On April 26th, approve paying Hideaway Hills Club $162.26 from the Lakes Committee Fund for the pontoon lunch. April 27, approve the Social Committee's request to move the deck tour from July 24th to August 21st. April 28th, pay Jim Nobles $84.33 and Sherry Panacea $276.08 from the Golf Committee Fund for supplies used at the golf course workday. On April 30th, pay Paul Bauer $91 from the Lakes Committee funds for 2 no fishing signs for the beach. May 1st, pay $127.30 to Sue Pyle from the Lakes Committee Fund for the flagpole supplies and flag installed at the boat ramp. May 2nd, pay North End Press $469.51 from the Golf Committee funds for printing new scorecards. May 7th, accept the resignation from Tim Weibel as co-chair of the Golf Committee. May 10th, approve the Lakes Committee Fund paying $100 to sponsor a hole at the member guest golf outing. Also on May 10th, approve the recommendation of the nominating committee of the following candidates: Jeff Barron, Greg Blank, Patrick Connor, Chaz Cross, Margaret Euler, Jim Hiles, Linda Hodge, Eric Lapp, Tom Murphy, Doug Parker, and Stephanie Wolf. May 11th, reimburse Peg Arnett $724.34 from the Golf Committee Fund for the purchase of new flagpoles and brackets for ball washers. That's all the 7-0 votes. The 6-0 votes are as follows. On May 3rd, approve paying Kevin Vandewater up to $1,125 from the Chapel Committee funds for the power washing and stain touch-up of the chapel benches and altar. May 4th, reimburse Hideaway Hills Club $151.55 from Lake Committee funds for lights, a winch, and a wheeljack for the pontoon launch. May 11th, reimburse Karen McNabb $92.73 from Golf Committee funds for the purchase of flowers to be planted in the golf course flower beds. And May 12th, approve the resignation of Cheryl Burnside from the nominating committee and Tim Weibel as her replacement. And that's all the e-votes.
All right. Thank you very much. So do I have a motion to accept the e-votes as enumerated?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Have it? Okay. Any discussion on the e-votes? All of those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Motion carries to accept the e-votes. Thank you very much. I know that's a lot to read. Let's go ahead then and move on to new business. We had a member come forth to talk about feral cats, spaying and neutering, the issue with that. And Mary Beth, could you please address?
Yes, Kelsey Witt wrote to the, I think she wrote to you, Linda, and asked if she could form a committee to catch, trap, neuter, and release, and set up a program here for the feral cats. Various people over the years have done different kind of programs to deal with the cat population here. And Kelsey would like to take that on. I wrote to Eric Lapp, who is the board rep for the youth committee. They have a fund already set up for this purpose, but I don't think they were necessarily trying to raise money to add to the fund. And there's about $260 some in there. Kelsey said she'd be willing to do like a subcommittee of the youth committee or do her own committee. And she has people wanting to donate and raise money and help her with this project. So I don't know if she's going to do the subcommittee under the youth group, that we even have to vote on it or anything like that. Eric, do you think it would be okay to take that on as a subcommittee there, since there's already a fund set up? I can't hear you.
I reached out to Carrie and she said that'd be fine.
Okay, so I think that resolves it, and Kelsey's open to that as well. She would like to send out an e-blast or something asking for volunteers, and she does have people willing to donate right now.
Good.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Yes, thank you, Kelsey. Anything else on that topic? Okay, moving forward. We've had some issues come up regarding the Echo and availability of the Echo to read And you may remember in a previous board meeting, and I think you brought it up, Eric, that we have members that don't have internet access, are not really conversant with digital technology, and don't necessarily get to the post office. I don't know. There are a lot of moving parts here, but it did come up, and I would like Ginger. I think is Ginger Reed.
I'm here.
Yeah. Hi, Ginger.
Hello.
Yeah, there you are. Can you take off your? Can we see you?
I don't know. Can you?
No. So
Okay. Well,
we can hear you, but
okay.
your video is not on.
Oh, that's all right. I have no problem with that. Okay, so to give you some background on the Echo and why we stopped mailing it, both Bremen and Logan had their bulk mail taken away, and it was all given to Lancaster. And Yvonne, who handles the bulk mail, said that, let me back up a minute. For Bremen, the office could put the mail in bags, had a pocket in the front. They put the zip code number in there with a check. They set it on the back dock of the Bremen post office, and they were done. In Lancaster, you have to put them in the trays. You take the paper or you take it to the backloading dock, and it's a pretty high dock, or you have to go up about 10 steps to lay your trays there. You go around to the front, stand in line, and they will call Yvonne up, and she will look over your paperwork, and if everything is okay, then the person, whoever's at the window, will take your check, and then you're done, which is a little longer process. So that was the time that was decided nobody had or wanted to take the time to do all that for bulk mailing, and it was a good time maybe to just stop mailing the Echo. So I've checked into now, and a permit is like $245 for the year. The last time we used ours was over a year ago, so you'd have to pay that. Right now, the printing is $400 a month, where we just put them in the post office. And if we mail them, because we mail to everyone, it's like $700, $750 per month. The postage, when we used the bulk, was somewhere $375 to $395. And
is that per month, Ginger, or?
Yes, it is per
Okay.
month. Per month. The permit, of course, is just for the year. So the cost per year when we don't mail is right under $5,000. And the cost of mailing is just over $13,000 a year. If we were to, what I'd like to see done is I would like to, rather than send everyone the Echo and have them opt out, I would like to get busy and have people opt in to have the Echo mailed, rather than just send them out. And I know if it was me, I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to call, I'm going to, let the office know that I do not want it, but then will I really get around to it? So I'd like to make the members more aware of the Echo. From January of 2020 to April of 2021, we've had almost 100 new members. And I want to make sure that they know that there are copies in the post offices. Make sure that we have them at the lodge, the clubhouse, and then the office once it opens. And the new member packet that the office mails out with their stickers and cards, I want to put something in there regarding the Echo, the information it has as far as the calendar, committee events, and where they can pick it up. And also the fact that, they can have the office, send them the office email address so they can opt in to receive the Echo by mail. We need 200 copies for bulk mail. And if we didn't have that many, Last month's Echo was 32 pages, and that would be about $1 each to mail out. There's also the new member committee notebook that's given to all new members, and we probably could beef up what's in there a little bit too, as far as the Echo and how they can get it. We could do a survey to ask how many want their Echo mailed to get it. Feel for what our members think. I know a lot don't want it mailed. So I just would like to suggest that I would be happy to ramp up what we're doing to get the Echo so that more members get to see it, and that those who can't get it or don't want to get it online don't come down here enough. Unless you get mail in the 2 post offices, you probably aren't going to step in them for any reason. So that's what I'd like to do.
So if we were going to ask members to opt in, how would we do that? Would we suggest that they contact the office, email the office with their name and their physical address that they want to receive it?
I think something could go in the statements that say, you know, this is what we're planning to do. If you would like to receive your Echo in the mail, please email the office, and so that they know that you would like to do that. And then the office is willing to put together create a list of members who would like to have them mailed.
So we would have a variance in cost.
There would be, but I don't know. It's according to it, you know, I don't know if more than 200 people would want it mailed out of all the numbers that we have. Why? As long as we have over 200, it goes for bulk mail. And
So if we have bulk mail, let's say we have 200 members. I'm just trying to get the cost here, Ginger. If we have 200 members that opt in and want it sent to them by U.S. mail, and we have then our bulk rate then that we can use, how much would it then cost? Now, I think I remember you saying that as it is now, it costs $5,000. Is that right, a year?
Right now, we plan to, now, do you mean, right now it's under 5,000 with nothing mailed at all? Like
right.
4,800 to just continue the way we're doing it.
Right.
And I do not know how much it would be to like bulk mail 200 items.
So the bulk mailing is an additional, what, 245, that's a year, that's for the license, right?
Right.
And then per Echo, we don't know how much that would cost, even if it's bulk mail.
We do not know how much the postage would cost, no.
Right.
It was, when we mailed everything out, $375 to $395 a month, and that was for the 700 plus.
Do we need to vote on this, Linda, or is it just something we can go ahead and do?
Well, I think that if we're talking about an additional cost, I think we should vote on it, unless somebody sees it otherwise.
And just as a point of reference, we have $5,424 budgeted for the year for the Echo.
Okay.
So if we ended up doing this, we would likely end up going over the budget.
Yes, we would.
So just my guts, I mean, we've got 750 accounts. Most people are getting their stuff via email right now, but we certainly do have some people that just do not have email, do not have internet access. And I'd be shocked if we got more than 100 people wanting to get an email to them. And at $1 a piece, we're talking $100 extra a month.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, And even if it's 200, it's 200 extra a month for 2,400 a year. So communication with our membership's important.
I agree.
That's hard to believe. I'm with Eric that there'd be more than 200 people that would require it being mailed.
Right.
You know, we wouldn't know until we launch out and see.
I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and offer that opportunity to the membership and incur the extra expense for those who opt in.
A second.
Okay, Eric seconds. Do we have any further discussion on this?
I guess I don't. My point is, if for some reason we had this outpouring of people that wanted to have it mailed to them, well, then we can go back to the bulk mailing situation or look at other options. I just don't think we're going to have that much of a response.
I tend to agree. Well, see no further discussion. Let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Motion carries. So I think the first thing is to get the note in with the assessments. And I don't know, Ginger, do you want to maybe put something together to send with their assessments so that we can get some kind of an idea?
Yes, definitely. I'm not sure posting it on Neighbors is you think that's even worth it for the number of people that will vote?
They're not the ones that are not getting the echo.
That's true.
That's a real good point. Yeah.
That's true.
Okay. I think we just need to send it out with the assessments.
Okay, I'll get it so that it can go in this month, which would be next week.
All right. Thank you very much, Ginger. Appreciate you helping.
You're
welcome.
unbelievable. You're unbelievable,
Oh,
Jim.
how about, thank you. Oh, we're on the air. Never mind. All right. Thanks, guys.
Have a good evening.
Will do. Bye-bye.
Okay. Next up. With June 2nd, just about here, let's talk a little bit about in-person hybrid meetings, WebEx meetings. Just, I want to hear from the board, your thoughts on this.
I think we should go back to in-person, and for those who either are unavailable or have health issues or don't feel comfortable, they could still join by WebEx if we can figure out a hybrid system. And I know some of our board members go away for several months during the year, but I think WebEx allows, we can hear better on WebEx than we can in the great room or the lodge. That's just my opinion.
I think it might be as simple as having the hybrid approach. We could, most of us have a laptop, I would think, that you could actually bring with you to the live meeting so that if somebody was not able to be there, we could all have that WebEx going on so we can view that other member and be able to conduct that. I guess the only question I would have is there a way for the audio to come through for the live meeting? And I guess that would be my question is to make sure that the person who is not there, who is doing it via the computer, has the ability to have their audio at least heard during the live meeting.
And I appreciate that. I'd kind of like to even bring it up a notch. I think there's the technology, and Jeff and I have talked about this a little earlier. I think there's the technology that we could maybe seamlessly have our remote board members able to be seen not just by the board members with their laptop, but by any members who might be present at the meeting that are not board members.
Like on a screen, projected up on a screen or something. Huh?
That's correct. So that you could visualize the remote board member as well as hear that board member.
Yeah, that's great because people do miss. There are times when you just can't help it and you're gone a month or two, and to be able to dial in and join and have everybody together that can be, would be great.
So,
To Eric's point, I think the challenge will be, and even talking to my son about it, will be getting the audio back out to the people listening via WebEx. It's easy enough if all else fails to put a microphone next to the speaker if someone's talking into the meeting on WebEx, but the audio going out is going to be a challenge. So he's going to be researching it for us.
Jeff, as my mind's running, I've got some ideas on how that might work. We can talk offline.
Okay. Anybody with any kind of audiovisual background, IT background that might be able to help as well, feel free to let me know.
Do we want to aim for the June meeting for this?
yes, I believe so. So that kind of puts us on a little bit of kind of doing a crash course to make this happen, but if we could do it for the June meeting, I think that would be great. Sorry, I had to turn on some lights in here. It's getting dark. Anyhow, other thoughts on this?
I agree with what all has been said. I think the hybrid approach is a good one.
Okay.
Do we then keep keep reporting them and putting them on YouTube for the general public? Do we put them on YouTube, start locking it down so it's for members only? As long as we're on the topic, how do we want to approach that?
I would think for members only, or for the membership to record and post.
Members only would be great.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it really should be. I don't know that any of us are aiming to use this as a platform to stardom, that's for sure. Humor, guys, levity.
Well,
I like the idea of a hybrid because we're going to get a lot more mileage with those meetings.
I think doing member only could be difficult because then you have to manage that membership list. And then my other thought is to go in to have a laptop that's running WebEx, or I'm sorry, to have our computer system or the old system, the old camera lined up. And if we had a video screen that camera would be able to have the vision of, you'd be able to see the person who's remote or the people that are remote, just like we're seeing right now, and have their audio pulled right into it. So I think there's a way we could do this.
Well, that would be good. And I think that in the winter months, it's difficult for members who are maybe snowbirding it, for members who have to drive, whether it's, to get back from work or drive in from Columbus. It makes a lot of sense. And we might even have a few full-on WebEx meetings depending upon the weather, because it's easy for us to meet this way. And it's easy for the members to see us and join us. So I think we have options, but we really want to get back to at least a hybrid model and do the in-person. So do I have that right?
yes.
I
Okay.
have a quick question on that. Now, maybe the problem has been solved at this point, but when we were up in the great room and spread out, you just couldn't hear the audio at all. Actually couldn't even hear it in the meeting when you were there. Could we take it back down to the great room? Is the social distancing also over with? Or if not, somebody could volunteer, I guess, to do the audio or do the WebEx so that we can still meet down there where the camera can pick all of us up and where everybody can hear. Because that was a big problem when we went upstairs into the great room. It just didn't work. Now, I think that might have been fixed, Jeff. You might know that. But right now, up in the great room, you just can't hear it at all. And frankly, you couldn't even see it.
You mean in
You're
the
talking
dining,
about up in the dining room?
dining room? Yeah.
I'm sorry, I said the great room. I meant in the dining room. What I'm saying, I guess, is can we do it in the great room?
I don't know. I think that we can do it in the lodge. It gives us more room to spread out, and being downstairs, we don't have as much room, and frankly, I don't think the air circulation is as good. And if we have the ability to be seen and heard in the lodge, that would be preference.
If I remember correctly, and I think that Randy had worked with Greg Blank, and I think Greg's got some audio expertise. He actually got, I just remembered, and this is going back to, last year sometime, but I'm pretty sure that Greg Blank had worked out a situation for us so that it was now the audio was pumped directly into the camera so that everything could be heard better. I guess I'd just say let's if we can reach out to Greg. I'm pretty sure he had solved that problem for us.
I remember, yes,
Okay.
we worked with Randy on that. Yeah.
Linda, we might have
I'll
to
catch
just
up with you.
experiment. We
Go ahead.
may have, sorry, Jeff. We might just have to experiment to see what works, but maybe the first meeting we do, I don't know if maybe we could all bring our computers with us and try if as a fallback, we would have our computers available to go on WebEx for those who weren't there, and then experiment with the system to see what works for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, I will say cautionary tale. I've tried doing a WebEx with me in my office, Penny over in her area, and you still get all sorts of feedback, even with just 2 units with a wall in between. I had my door closed and my earphones in, and I was getting all sorts of feedback from that. So I don't know that having everybody's laptop live on WebEx would work, but we can try anything once.
Yeah.
Eric, I'll catch up with you tomorrow, and then Greg, if you're listening, I will try and reach out to you tomorrow as well.
Good deal.
All right. Thank you. Let's move on then. Do we have any old business? I don't have anything on the agenda. So, all right. New members. Mary Beth.
We have, yep, go ahead, sorry.
New members. Welcome new members. If I destroy any names, I apologize. Thomas and Tamra Sinkowitz, lots 269. John and Cheryl Levins, lot 200 through 202. Eric Weimer, lots 1585 through 1587. Michelle and Andrew Bader, lot 439. Doreen Eldred, lot 544 through 546.
All right. So, thank you for going through our new members. Do we have a motion to approve the new members?
Make that motion.
All right. So we have that first, that motion made by Jim. Do we have a second?
I second that emotion.
Thank you, Cabot. Reminds me of a song. Anyhow, all those in favor, please say aye. Unless there's more discussion. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. All right, additional business.
Yeah, I've got a couple things. One, to going to go back to the ad hoc election level process committee. They were, if you guys remember, they were an ad hoc committee formed last year to kind of help, particularly with COVID hitting, get information out about the candidates. They are planning to move forward with the same plan, which includes questions and videos and interviews. Jim, to your question, they are going to try to do a meet and greet. I don't think they finalized any of the details. So what I'll do is I will have one of the members reach out to you to get a final answer to you, so you guys know the answer from the airport committee perspective.
Okay, that's fine. And then if they don't want to do it, you've got the airport committee as a backup.
Yep. The other thing, as was mentioned a couple months ago, we formed a key initiatives committee. This committee met last night and have for 5 of the 7 projects, scope documents drafted. We're going to continue to work on those projects. These are pretty significant projects. The projects are focused around recreation areas, security, safety, the lodge, package handling, technology, and sustainability of clean potable water supply. Some of this, there's representation from both the board and management. We're working together on this. The group was put together by Jim and Linda. And so we're working in conjunction with some of the research that's already started with the management committee and trying to continue to move it forward. So more to come on that. Don't want to go through all the scope documents in this meeting, but just to let people know they're being drafted and we can publish them in the future. And that's it.
Yeah,
Any
thanks.
idea how soon? Any idea when we might see those?
Well, we, as I mentioned, only went through 5 of them last night. The other 2 projects don't have theirs draft yet, so maybe hopefully within the next month.
It's all really, it's kind of sad that we haven't done this as a club before, but we are doing it now, and I think it's very meaningful work, and it will help our membership. It will support our community going forward into the future. This is the kind of important stuff that as a club we should be doing and need to be doing. So when it is rolled out, look forward to your feedback and hope that you too feel proud of this work.
Yeah, and I'll
all the-
also add that we're working with Ken's a representative on the committee as well, and he's there to help from a long-range planning committee since he's the
Yeah.
chair of that committee.
Yeah, it's a good outreach to our different areas of membership. Anyway, anything else on that, Annie?
That's it.
All right, thank you. So I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session.
Linda, could I ask one quick question?
Yes, please.
Jeff, when are you planning on reopening the office to the public?
Really have not talked about that yet, so I will say I don't have a specific date in mind.
Okay.
But I'll get through it with Penny and Jessica, and we can get the information out to everybody.
Okay,
All
that's
right.
all I had.
Thanks, Tim. Anyway, does anyone want to make that motion to adjourn to executive session?
I will make that motion, Linda.
Thank you, Tim. Second.
Second.
Was that you, Jim?
Yeah, that was me.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we have a motion to adjourn. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor of adjournment to executive session, please say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Okay, motion passes. Let's go ahead and move into executive session. Jeff, can you take us on out? Okay, open session resuming at 10:17. Results of the executive session. Decision was made to foreclose on 2 properties. A third property, we have a tentative agreement to enter into a payment plan. Finalization of the member Article 9 did occur, and that individual will be limited to ingress and egress and to and from work to remain for 1 year from the date of the incident. There will be a fine of $3,000 and $1,000 will be suspended for good if there is good behavior through April 26th of 2022. There was an approval of a purchase agreement for lots 1920 through 1922. And there was an agreement to sell lots 2100 through 2103 for a total of, what was that amount, Jeff?
26,500.
500, thank you, 26,500. And there was also an agreement to provide an easement waiver between lots 1,081 and lots 1,082. I appreciate everyone's indulgence tonight and thank you for your attendance. Like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Was that you, Jim? Okay.
Jim
I'm
Lloyd.
gonna-
That was Jim Lloyd.
Okay. Second, please.
I second that emotion.
Thanks, Cabot. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you all.
Have fun at the beach, Tom.
Thank you, I will.
All right.